Qingya Song was browsing the library shelves alone, looking for a book placed too high up. She tiptoed, stretching her hand, but couldn't quite reach it. Just as she was about to give up, a warm hand reached over and took the book down effortlessly. Qingya looked up to see Rangu, smiling as he handed the book to her. "Thank you," she whispered softly. Ran smiled, but said nothing. Their eyes met briefly, and there was a subtle tension in the air. The autumn campus was both peaceful and full of life. Qingya sat on a bench, focused on her notebook, while Ran leaned against a nearby tree, his gaze thoughtful as he watched her. They had become the best study partners, and though Ran had something he wanted to say, each time the words would get lost in silence. He realized that Qingya was someone special. Miao Miao Lin had long noticed the subtle connection between Ran and Qingya. Jealousy simmered within her, so she devised a plan. One day, she made sure that Ran would see Qingya talking with another boy. From a distance, Ran watched coldly, his doubts deepening with every passing second. Miao Miao smirked. The seeds of misunderstanding had been sown. Since that day, Ran became more distant. He started to avoid Qingya, leaving her confused and hurt. She tried several times to explain, but Ran always slipped away. Qingya walked alone down the quiet paths of the campus, feeling a growing sense of emptiness and sadness. During a university sports event, Qingya was assigned to the same team as Qixuan Shen, a wealthy, confident, and talented athlete. Though Qixuan's charm impressed many, Qingya wasn't fond of him. During the event, a small dispute broke out between them. Qingya coldly remarked, "You're too full of yourself." Qixuan raised an eyebrow with a smirk. "You'll see." As graduation drew near, the tension on campus intensified. Ran was busy with graduation matters, continuing to distance himself from Qingya, while Qixuan slowly became a more constant presence in her life. At the graduation rehearsal, Qixuan approached Qingya, trying to make casual conversation, but she often found herself glancing into the distance, her mind filled with conflicting thoughts. One quiet evening, Qixuan asked Qingya to meet him on a corner of the campus. The moonlight bathed them in a soft glow as Qixuan finally confessed, "Qingya, I like you." Qingya stood frozen, shaking her head slowly. "I'm sorry. I'm not ready for this." But Qixuan, undeterred, gave her a gentle smile. "It's okay. I'll wait." During a university event, Qingya found herself in a difficult situation. In a moment of panic, it was Qixuan who came to her rescue, helping her out of the predicament. From that day on, something changed between them. Qingya began to feel more at ease around him, while her lingering feelings for Ran slowly started to fade. On the rooftop of the university, Ran stood alone, looking out over the campus below. His heart was heavy with regret and frustration. From a distance, he could see Qingya and Qixuan talking and smiling together. At that moment, Ran realized that his feelings for Qingya had always been more than friendship. But it seemed too late now. Sitting by the lake, Qingya held a letter in her hand, Ran's confession. She stared at the calm waters, feeling no waves of emotion. With a sigh, she accepted that their time had passed. The gentle breeze stirred the leaves around her, as if urging her to make the final choice she had been putting off for too long. On graduation day, Qingya and Ran finally stood face to face. They exchanged a brief glance, but neither spoke. Qingya's eyes carried a hint of sadness, while Ran's were filled with regret. After a long moment of silence, they turned and walked away from each other, heading in different directions, both physically and emotionally. The sun shone brightly as Qingya and Qixuan walked out of the university gates, side by side, with warm smiles on their faces. The lingering sorrow and regrets of the past were gradually fading away with each step they took. A new life awaited them, and Qingya had finally made a choice for herself.